Live. We're doing that right. Oh, you did it.
I hit it already. Look
Your
at
trust
that.
in the internet levels at
Look.
your place. Respectable.
Well, I think if I drop in and out, it jumps to you. So as long as you have host abilities, so that's a good thing. It's always good to have host abilities nowadays. I think the only person that doesn't is Jessica. Sorry, Jessica, you
Yeah,
had a
rightfully
baby.
so.
No,
Yeah.
no host abilities to you to get back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is the Quiet Travis Snail because you know what, Kirklin, kids sometimes they just choose not to fall asleep, and then they're asleep now, but it takes a little while, and sometimes they decide, "Nah, I ain't going to sleep." Doesn't matter.
Do you fall
Same
asleep
bread.
before them, like often?
Not lately. No, that's maybe because I take my guarana pills now, or guarana pills, however you say them. But like I said, sometimes they're just you'll do the same routine, everything. No, I'm not going to bed. Doesn't matter what you say. I'm not going. And
They're hyped because the Bucks won. They're probably Bucks
yeah,
fans. They don't even
couldn't
know.
calm them down. They're backflip and everything like that. And I'm joined by.
I don't really have a name today. I am the loud Kirkland Patzer. There you go. Other half of the Pew Boys.
The bandwagoner, stuff like that. Kirkland before cast tell me how he's the biggest Bucks fan in the world.
I had to change my name real quick because I knew someone would call me out. Or like maybe if I put the number one Bucks fan, it would like discredit my number one Florence Pugh fan. And I want that one to be more honest. So there you go.
You got to be careful with what you use. It's kind of like Taylor, who
True.
I don't know if you remember. He all of a sudden, when the Sharks were in the playoffs,
San
he's the biggest Sharks fan in the world. But I'd never heard him. Yeah, I had never heard this at all in my life. The difference was you said to me like, "Oh yeah, I'll jump on the bandwagon." Taylor was like, "Oh no, I've been a Sharks fan my whole life. I've not heard a single fucking word." That's a classic thing of Taylor. Oh, here and look, he's in the okay, good. Yeah. He's in the chat. Look at that, Sharks for the win. Yeah, well, too bad they're not winning shit. But this is a classic Taylor thing, as we've seen the past few days. He just steals things constantly. Popeyes is the newest thing. Now, to preferences, we're getting a newscast. I'll give plugs with a preference for people. Like, he has told Jessica and you to go Popeyes. Usually, though, I'm the person that was the big Popeyes guy. Me and Emily, I love it. I'm the one that's been to America the most, not to brag, but whatever. I've been there. Popeyes, Jack in the Box, Olive Garden, Red Lobster. I fucking love those like mid-tier, like not high quality food, but not low quality food. It's somewhere in the middle, So I told him, I'm the one that had to convince him to go to Popeyes. Like, oh, you'd love it. They have this, and this. But now when Jessica asked for a chicken place, he says Popeyes. And then with you, he said Popeyes. Now, here's the thing. If it was me in that situation, I would be like, oh, you know what? Taylor told me to go to Popeyes. And ever since then, I love Popeyes. I love it. No, yeah. Taylor says Kirk brought up Popeyes. I didn't even bring up
I'll
first.
speak up after he's done, Taylor.
Yeah. Second thing, Taylor's just in the group chat where he could be here. So, shows his loyalty. Second of all, though, if this was the case where I was introduced to the restaurant, I would have said, hey, Taylor told me about Popeyes and I've loved it ever since then. So you should go too. I would have given Taylor credit. But what he doesn't do, he just likes to steal things. Just like how he doesn't include me in any like Florence Pugh posts, even though I've seen more of Florence Pugh. I knew her before everybody else here, hipster Travis, but now I don't get included in all these posts. So Taylor just likes to take all my gimmicks because he has none, That's the problem. So you can continue. Whatever.
So, yeah, in Taylor's defense, I was the one that brought up Popeyes because we finished our Space Jam review. Go check that out. That's probably doing
the one
awesome.
You guys all same thing, stole that for me. I saw it first and then like, oh, we're reviewing it Fortnite. I knew no idea. And
I'll be against you on that one. But
review without me. I woke up, review was done.
The review is done. I was saying how like Shay was coming back in town the next day. So it was like my last night being like, bacheloring up. I think that's the way to say that. Let's go with it. And I was like, so I think I'm going to pick up food instead of just making dinner, last night just alone. So I brought up like, oh, maybe do Popeyes, maybe do something else. And then he was giving me some other ideas. There was never once where I was like, oh my gosh, Popeyes, what's this? And Taylor's like, oh, you never heard of it? It's awesome. I'm the Popeyes guy. And I totally recommend that you go check it out. The only reason why I posted in the group chat is because I'm like, yeah, I'm undecided, but I'll let you know what I decide. You, Travis, were the one that completely just took that, spun it, made it, added some spice on it, make it a little spicy conversation, because that's what you do. I love you for it, but that's what you do.
Once credit me for saying, like, for him liking Popeyes.
That didn't even come up, though. It was just like, oh, Popeyes, that's a good idea. He was never like, oh, I'm the number one Popeyes fanboy.
He's not the number one fan. He doesn't even know about Black and Ranch. He has no idea.
I don't even know what that is.
Exactly. You and Jessica talked to the wrong people there. Like, I guess we can disagree on the macaroni, but above all else, like the black and ranch is what you gotta get. That is the pristine one you have to go. Kirkland with the facts. Well, Taylor, you know what? You know what? I'm gonna take that show ownership away. So Taylor, go fucking work on your dancing or something like that. Isn't Madison bugging you about wedding planning? And here you are watching this podcast. So yeah, you're not Mr. Popeyes. You can be Mr. San Jose bandwagon shark. That's fine.
To give you credit, I was like one of the last members in the GV, I think, to actually visit Popeyes. Funny enough, it's on the west side. I live on the west side. Before I didn't do it, and you were the one that was definitely rooting and tooting it. But I also, fanboy Clay, it's just chicken.
Oh, fuck off, Clay. You don't even know. You don't even know it's just chicken. There's just chicken, and then there's chicken, and that's the thing where I'll say, like, the fast food places we have here, like Mary Brown's is fine, KFC, but like they have that nice, like, Louisiana, New Orleans, sort of.
New Orleans.
Yeah, it's not the same because I've actually been to New Orleans, and it's like it's not the exact same quality, but it has a certain flavor. So that's where I would push back on you, fanboy Clay.
So you were praising it, but also it's just like very relevant on social media. It's like, especially when the chicken sandwiches were just popping off, and they were like running out of ciabatta buns, and people were like bringing their own ciabatta buns. And
did you get a sandwich yet?
I knew that was the first thing I ever got because of the social media craze. Yeah. I'm like, oh my god, they got ciabatta buns, ciabatta. If you're talking to Taylor Field, I think that's how he pronounces it.
Yosemite Sam eating the ciabatta.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, I don't really know how we got onto this topic, but I like it. So there you go.
I just opened up with it.
Travis Snell, Mr. Popeyes. I'll give you that credit. And one day I will do Jack in the Box because you have been praising that one.
Mr. Popeyes and Mr. Jack in the Box, Mr. Adam Driver. I'll be Mrs. Florence P. But no, Jack in the Box is like it's so good. I miss it so much. Their milkshakes are so good. That's what I'm waiting for. If it can come out here, I'll be complete. I do love a good Red Lobster and Olive Garden, though. That's
true. Red Lobster is pretty. I never had Olive Garden. I think one time we went in and it was just way too long of a wait. We're like, okay,
unlimited breadsticks. Unlimited.
Yeah, I do like Red Lobsters for sure. It's funny too because like when I was younger, I feel like it was like TBS was the channel, and it's based out of Georgia, Atlanta, I believe. So they always had like Sonic, like that, the shake, whatever, that it's a fast food joint, I think. But like Jack in the Box as well, and I would always see those commercials. I would always see the food. I'd always see the milkshakes, and I'm like, Mom, take me there. She's like, no, we don't got those here. So to this day, I've not had Jack in the Box. One time when I was in the States, I saw Sonic. And it was like, as we were driving by, I was just like in the window, like a sad puppy. I was just like, no, and I missed out on it. So.
Sonic ain't bad. What is really good, which is only in, I think, California, wherever it is, man, like the hype, some people shit on, but I think the hype is real for In-N-Out Burger. Oh, fuck, man.
I can actually speak to that.
It's good.
Yeah. So when we were in Vegas, the team went to In-N-Out, and we have a lot of American listeners, so this might come to a shock to you, but I didn't realize that in America, you can get like your hamburger meat like done differently. I think here in Canada, it's just like a set, like it's just well done. It's just it's well done. It's cooked all the way through. So a friend of mine got an In-N-Out burger, and it was like pink in the middle, and he's like, "What the hell is this? Like this is like undercooked." And we made like a big debacle like out of it. So like that was kind of a thumbs down experience there, and like I just found like the bun, it just looked like it just had like grease prints like by someone's fingers, like putting the bun on it, and they just had like grease on their fingers. So like, and again, every fast food joint is different. Maybe that employee was just really pissed off at his job or something and just hated it and just like gave us some shitty food. But I've only had one In-N-Out experience, and I did not like it. So there you go.
Oh, see, and Family Clay agree with you, but Family Clay, you're in America, so you can appreciate it. I think you got to go to. See, you went to where? Vegas, Texas? No, we went to the San Francisco one. That one's prime. That's where you gotta go. Judging by the mood you're in, Fanboy Clay, are you just here to shit on everything I like? It's just chicken. In-N-Out. It's not that amazing.
Evening, fellas.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna talk about Batman for the next hour and ruin it. But let's talk about some news. We'll get some plugs away before someone's like, I'm tuning in for MCU 1 star. They talked about food the whole time. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is GeekVerse Podcast, episode 402. We're on the long trek to 500, but you can go back and listen to all those 400 episodes. But most recently, we have a Space Jam review. We have a review for Fear Street. We have a review for Gunpowder. I always want to say Smoke. Gunpowder Milkshake. And then later on this week, we'll be having Snake Eyes and Old. Kirklin and Taylor will be doing Snake Eyes, and I'll be doing Old with Whataburger where it's at. No, come on now. That's not, no. Just because I get to pick my toppings. Yeah, I'll be doing Old with you. I was getting that way. He's just throwing out weird food things, but yeah, me and Kirklin will be doing Old, and then I might try and do Zola because I missed that a few weeks ago, but it's coming on VOD. And then what is happening? Oh, next week's Jungle Cruise. Yeah, I don't expect a Jungle Cruise review. If I happen to see it, sure. But yeah, I don't think that's happening. But next year for the public, our superhero draft will be releasing and our 6-year anniversary. You can get that all right now on Patreon. Go there. There's a whole bunch of different tiers, but right now you can get the most popular tier, the phase 2 tier, ad-free exclusive early episodes, doing some exclusive recording. Actually, wow, he worked. He walked at me. I was gonna throw him a question, but I guess it's actually this Sunday is when we will be recording. Not for you guys at all. I just forgot, Kirkland. I forgot that we have some recording to do this Sunday. Actually, those Spider-Man casts.
That's right.
Back
movies.
Completely forgot, so I need to look into my weekend. But we have lots of stuff popping off on Patreon. You send in questions, you can get behind the scenes look, a whole bunch of things, and yeah, Patreon will get like a little bit update near the end of the year. But we're making some changes, all good stuff. So stay tuned for that. Head down in the description below where you can find all our podcast feeds, whether it's this one or the 3 other ones have for the review one, the news one, or the retrospective one. You can find the podcast network 7 days a week. 7 shows. We'll talk about that on Marvel Alliance, which I am tuning, or I'm going to be guest hosting with Chris. I'm making my nice return. We got lots to talk about, so tune there. I have some announcements of new shows, some shuffles, things like that, some interesting things happening there, but all good stuff. So trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, reviews are coming up. A big thank you to Carl and Aaron Braden, who are our Patreon producers at the highest tier. If you like what we do, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and we really appreciate your contribution there because that helps us out a lot. So, and thank you to everyone that's been listening to these casts. So, we got a few topics tonight. Kirkland, I want to hit you with this one first, our main one. It's kind of a twofer, but I want to talk to you first about, we talked about a little bit on After 9, but we didn't dive deep. Last week, they released that like Free Guy reaction trailer where it was like, oh, Deadpool and Korg and everything like that. I wanted to ask you, because I don't know if you watched the whole thing. So, 1, did you watch it? But 2, what do you think about that meaning as far as, because obviously we've heard this announcement like, okay, Deadpool 3 is happening, it's in the MCU, it's radar, but other than that, we've not really heard anything. There's no release date, it's not on any phase posters or whatnot. Did this at least increase your hope that we will be getting some updates or at least seeing in the MCU soon? Or do you think this was just a, Taika's in the movie, he's in the movie, sure, let them have some fun with this gimmick as far as, oh, we'll use these 2 Marvel characters to promote this movie that now they own because, as he says in the trailer, they got it in a Foxfire sale, jokingly.
Yeah, I definitely think it's like hinting at something coming up. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to be like Deadpool 3 right around the corner or something like that, directed by Taika Waititi or whatever it might be. But I mean, like I want to say, like, if you look at the MCU, everything's got a meaning. Every little ladybug is signifying for something else. And then you get the Ralph Boner thing. And then you get, like the Evan Peters. We're all like, oh my gosh, he's in there. That means that like this is going to be a big crossover event, right? Which didn't really lead to anything. I guess you could say like some Loki variants. Maybe some people were like leaning into more, like whether it's like the President Loki thing that didn't really lead to too much there. So again, like if you take those out of the way, I feel like overall the MCU is like very much like leading into the next thing. Like they don't just show things just for fun. And yeah, I feel confidently that this is actually like, okay, I know like Deadpool has actually been like working on something with the MCU, whether that's just like
well,
like
they say they're working on something.
Yeah. So
I mean, you mean like something else, maybe more to set that up.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe it's like a cameo or something in I don't know where he would appear first. Like I guess you could make the argument that it would make the most sense to have him in like the next Thor, just because of Taika and him being on screen with Korg. That's the first MCU character he's been on screen with.
Yep.
But I feel strongly that is the case, where it's not just, okay, this is just a unique way to promote the movie, because Deadpool is a Disney property now, right? Like, I feel like it would be weird for them to just promote this just because it's fun. I don't know. I feel like that isn't the case there, and I don't have like strong like evidence or anything for, but I also haven't seen like any strong evidence against. So I'm totally in the category that this is leading to something.
Yeah.
Whether he's just like appearing in movies, like, I guess no, sorry, I'll let you go.
Well, I was gonna say I forgot to change it to this for the Pew Boys here, but have a little. She gets cut off. I'm still working on. I'm still working on finding. Well, I had a good one, but look at this. Just cuts off her head completely. Ooh. But I liked her with the car. But
her neck makes her look old there a little bit.
Yeah, so she's peeking on us. So hashtag
Pew
Boys. So yeah, so this was really fun because they even did this thing with this trailer where they like it got out there, but it was like unlisted, like on purpose. It was unlisted, so you had to like find it. But I'll preface this with like what I've said on Marvel Alliance. I think I probably said on this show before too, where I expect any day to get some sort of press release of, oh, you know, things didn't work out and we love Ryan, but he's really busy and we're really busy. And just because like it is that thing of like, hey, once they're doing a movie, the rated R, the MCU, that is something different. Already people are like, well, will Blade be rated R? And Feige be like, no, it's just Deadpool right now. So that's where it is kind of like a Pandora's box, right? And that's where I always think that there could become a time where they're writing and they both just disagree and they're like, you know what, this is too much. But I think this at least gives me hope that they are planning on trying to make it work. You know, it might not work out, but they're at least trying to give an effort. Because I feel, yeah, you could say, oh, it's just to promote this little movie. Disney owns it now. But I don't think, even if it's just little old Korg played by Taika, I don't think they would let him use anything from the MCU if they weren't at least trying to make something happen, you know? So it's weird with Deadpool because like the merger happened, we heard nothing, and then we just heard like, oh yeah, there'll be more Deadpool movies, but a very vague like, yeah, okay, sure, like, well, let's wait till you see that. And there was, I don't know, I think at least over a year till we heard something, and then it was like, okay, it's gonna be rated R, it's gonna be the MCU. I think it's a pair of sisters, if not, it's two female writers that write for Bob's Burgers. They're writing the movie, so it's like, okay, we got that, and that is, I think it's been under a year, but still, it's like we get these like little updates with Deadpool that are substantial, but it's like, okay, you get this update and that's it. So I always, like I said, worry because of Disney's nature, but this at least shows that I think they have plans for him in the future. What the plans are, I don't know, but this is where I pose the main question, where this is something that I heard months and months ago, just by kind of like a C tier scooper, so I didn't really think of anything about it. But then like another C plus scooper after this video came out, I saw a comment and then I watched their video, and they kind of said it passingly, but it almost sounded like they maybe thought it was information that they'd known about, that they had heard that they're going to be making Deadpool the new Stan Lee equivalent, where he would be cameoing in, I don't know if every movie, but a lot of movies. So just on the surface, how would you feel about that? Of like in my opinion, you said Thor or Thor Love and Thunder. In my opinion, where it would start if this thing does start is Doctor Strange. Just because if we're doing the multiverse thing, I think that's a way to, whether he falls in our universe, whether it's, I still think the funnest way for Deadpool 3 to happen is him being in his Fox universe and it's like closing and he's trying to get in the MCU. I still think that is like the funnest route, and especially because like in that reaction, he's like, oh, so Korg, how do I get in the MCU and stuff? So they're playing with it, but that's my prediction. I think Multiverse of Madness, you'll at least see him, even if it's a cameo. But how would you feel about him having like a cameo almost every film, like a kind of like Stan Lee had?
Yeah, it's an interesting idea for sure. I feel like when I initially read that, I was definitely like turned off on the idea. I felt like part of me was like I kind of like the idea of just only keeping those for Stan Lee because he's just like one of the founding fathers of this entire thing, right? So it's just it's really awesome that we had him in there, and now that he's since passed, like to just replace him with, you know, Deadpool is pretty iconic. Everyone would probably really like it, but a part of me when I initially read that was like I feel like disrespectful is the wrong word, but that's just what I felt initially, just because I'm like, I just want to have that role for Stan Lee. However, like the more
and then the red dot came on you and you're like, you're telling someone like, I don't know if they should do this, and they're like, oh no, I love it.
Essentially, I could hear the music going, you know, like the Oscar speeches are going too long. The more I've been like marinating on the idea, I like just throughout today, I think it does make sense actually if they did do it, because it would be another just fun thing to look for in all of these MCU movies. I feel like every single one would just be like big thumbs up. I like similar route of the Stan Lee cameos. Like I don't love all of them, but every time it pops up, even if like something serious is happening, when he pops up, I'm like, oh, okay, nice. Like that's the one, you know. And then next movie would go on, and then like same sort of feels. I feel like if we do the Deadpool route, no matter like the feel of the movie, whether it's a more serious tone or just a more fun one, I feel like it'll just be a good like change of pace like right away.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of torn in the middle because I like I said, like the more I think about it, the more I like it. But then and then like the back of my mind, I'm like, well, is this the only thing that we're gonna get of Deadpool? Like I still want to see a solo movie with him, right? So I don't want to just designate him as the cameo guy, but I feel like if any character would fit that role other than Stan Lee, it would be a Deadpool, because it could be anything, right? He could be shitting on like his old movie, or like any old like interpretation of a character that we're seeing on screen. It could be something just like he just has free reign in anything that he talks about. So I think it would work well. But I feel like I'm still a little pushbacky on it. However, if it does go that route, I'm sure I'd be laughing out loud like the first cameo of him on there. So I don't know. It's kind of tough to say for sure. What about you?
Yeah, I'm honestly the exact same boat you are, where I think they could do it right. It could be lots of fun, and every movie you would have, if that's going to be comedic beat, because I even thought about, I'm like, well, what about a movie like Endgame? Like, I don't know if I really want Deadpool in there, but it's like, well, even then you have the Stanley cameo. But to me, like the Stanley cameos, that's where the two things I push back on: the Stanley cameo and Endgame. If you look at it, it's like, okay, make peace, love, not war. And he like, so like you can laugh, but it's not. I don't think they're always just like laugh out loud. It's all just like, oh look, it's Stan Lee. You know, even the one with like in Captain Marvel when he's reading the Mallrats skit. That's not a funny one. He's just on the bus reading a script for a movie he's going to be in, right? Where that's the thing, and it has this like sentiment to it. Where Deadpool, I don't think is ever going to have that. Every time Deadpool's going to be in it, it's going to be something comedic, something kind of in your face. And that's where with Stanley, I feel like it's a fun Easter egg, but it can still mesh in the movie. I do wonder if Deadpool, even if it's for 30 seconds, is just so commanding, especially Ryan Reynolds, which is a good thing. But would it take you out of it almost too much? Right. I don't know. And that's where maybe not every movie need it, but and then the other thing is like, yeah, there is part of me that just kind of wants it to end with Stan. Like, I'm not saying Deadpool can't cameo in Doctor Strange and go off to his own movie. That's fine if there's a cameo here and there. But if it is like, okay, he's gonna be the new Stan Lee, I might just want that to be for Stan Lee, because he is one of the creators. He's not the only creator. There's movies he was in that he didn't create the character, but still he is one of those kind of like the Vince McMahon, right? It's like he created this huge tree that kept growing and growing and gave us the Marvel comics,
on the
Marvel
Mount
universe.
Rushmore.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's kind of that without him, there's maybe none of this. So that's where it's like, and that's where it's weird to equate it to like, oh, and now Deadpool takes his place, where Deadpool's none of that, right? But then you can maybe make the argument of like, well, we want to go the other route with the cameos. But then, like I said, I go the other route of like, I have my problems with Black Widow, but no Stanley or Deadpool cameo is not it. You know, I wasn't like, you know what, without a cameo from somebody, this really hurts it. So I go back and forth. S. Bob says he doesn't think it will happen. And Family Clay actually has a really fun idea. It's like, if Deadpool's going to have a cameo in every MCU movie, he should have the background, no lines, where's Waldo of the MCU. I would really actually like that, because I think that'd be on that line where I think you could kind of do half and half, where depending on the movie, he could have a cameo, maybe he's an end credit scene. But yeah, if there was times where he's just in the background, much like Spider-Verse had like so many Easter eggs that you didn't know about, like Stanley's all over that movie. He only speaks once, but he's all over the movie. So I think that would actually be kind of fun. But at the same time, like I was gonna say, like, are you gonna get Ryan Reynolds to shoot that? But at the same time, I guess you could just put someone in a suit. One game that did it really well was the original Marvel Legos. Deadpool was used as that. He's used as like a narrator, sometimes a guide. He's used like the menu guy, and they did it really clever. So do I think that the MCU could use Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds well? Yeah, I do. I think I'd laugh. I think I'd have a good time, and it would be a kind of fun. Like, okay, what are we gonna do? And I also think though, he would still get his own movie, because I think if he did just cameo, I think people would be very disappointed. And that's one thing I think, again, with the trailer reaction shown, whether it's bleeping his words, for me, it's just like, I'm not I'm not there to see the potty mouth and everything like that. Yeah, it's great if we get International Women's Day, stuff like that. But Deadpool is funny because of like his wit and the situation he's put in and with the characters he's put in. I've said this many times that people think Deadpool has to be rated R because it has to be like the comic books. The comics aren't rated R. So you just have that's kind of showing your hand that you haven't read it. They did that with the movies. So I get that a lot of people think that, but the comic books all the time bleep out words. They don't show stuff. So I think that trailer reaction also showed that, yeah, he can work in a PG-13. Like I want to see him interact with Korg more than I do about him talking about like, you know, shit jokes or stuff like that, which he could still do. But like, I don't think even if this rumor is true, I don't think it would be like he doesn't get his own movie now. It might be weird that he gets his own movie, then he's in all these movies. So if that was the case of, oh, he's going to be in the next 3 phases, but he's not getting his own movie, I don't really want that. I think the cameos could be fun, but I definitely want his own movie. So it's almost hard for me to believe. I wonder if it's like he cameoed in Doctor Strange and some of these scoopers found out about that and they think going forward it's going to be the Stan Lee stuff. But
yeah, I like you were saying, like if I had to trade, you know, seeing Deadpool cameos in every single MCU movie or just a single standalone Deadpool movie in the MCU, I would take that single standalone MCU movie every single day of the week. So if we're getting cameos of Deadpool in every MCU movie, in his movie, would we get like a Hugh Jackman cameo in the background?
I'm still waiting for them to pull that trigger. I'm still surprised Hugh Jackman's not, like I said, not Wolverine, just Hugh Jackman as Hugh Jackman. I don't know why that hasn't happened. It could be. I still think I've said this before, the ultimate cameo is Kevin Feige. I think that's I know he wouldn't want to do it, but like that's the big like, oh shit moment, especially too because it'd be so great when you see it. Half the audience isn't gonna get it, but like we will, and that's what matters, you know.
100%. No, and then like if he's on screen and it's an MCU movie, that means Kevin Feige is technically an MCU character.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing. And then like just touching upon the Deadpool PG-13 stuff, if they go that route, I could totally see them just like having bleeps, like him talking and like as an auditory bleep. And then like he'll just make a comment like fucking Disney or something, you know, like just whatever it might be. I feel whether it's no swearing, whether they like replace his swear words with like just like, oh fudge or something like that, and then he's like he physically can't swear, and then he like comments on it and he just like blames Disney or something. Like there's thousands of ways to write it that way, and I 100% agree with you how Deadpool doesn't have to be all about swearing and everything. Like I feel like the shock humor of him just like using these vulgar words, it's a part of the humor, but it's not the majority of it whatsoever. It's the creativeness and like you said, bouncing off different characters and stuff like that.
And the other thing that I worry with these cameos too, like let's say you get a Deadpool 3, okay, it's whatever, it's in the MCU, it's back and forth, whatever it is, you get that movie, and then he starts making all these cameos and all of them. My worry is I could understand that you wouldn't maybe want a character like a Deadpool in a serious situation like Infinity War or Endgame, but I don't want to be like, oh, he's in the movies with these cameos, that's how he's crossing over. I do eventually want like a, you know, him and Tom Holland together for a movie. You know, I want like if there is an Avengers movie for, I don't know if he needs to be in the roster, but or here's the equivalent, something like Thor Love and Thunder. They take a character and it's like, okay, how Hulk's in it, Deadpool's going to be in this, so on. So whether it's Spider-Man, whether it's Guardians, I don't want them to be like, yeah, we're doing Deadpool movies and he's in the MCU, but him being in the MCU is him cameoing. I want him eventually in team ups. I want like, especially like think about the fight from Civil War and if Deadpool was there for that, the commentary he could make, the fun he could have. Like, I want that. Again, I don't think any of that needs to be rated R. And I it's very interesting. It's just like for me, Deadpool is that situation. I think I made a similar analogy a few weeks ago, but it's that girl or guy keeps telling you like they're interested and we're gonna go on a date, and you believe them, you trust them, they show all these signs, but like the date still hasn't happened, and you know they might be like, oh, you know, I'm sick, girl, I got school, and in the real world, that might be 100% true, but in your mind, you get a little paranoid. You go, what's going on? Why haven't we gone on this date yet? And for me, once I see and I'm hoping this December when we get our other, like the Disney's, you know, big cock investor call, that they have a new slate or whatever. They have their like nice Feige graphs and Deadpool has like a logo on there. Cause again, it's just, it always feels strange to me that like, they've said they are, you know, writing it. It's being produced. It's in the MCU, but it's never had that full on, like even Blade, they walked Mahershala Ali out. They gave him a fucking hat. They're like, he's getting a movie. He had a logo and everything. It's been very quiet, but maybe my hope is that they're just going to announce something. And then when they announce, it's like, and we're going like production, casting, here we go. So, and at the same time, there's argument. Maybe they're taking their time. They want to get it right. And that's fine. But I definitely want a date. As Brent always rubs in my face, he said there's only been one thing ever announced in the MCU that's never happened. That was the Inhumans. They made a TV show. So I do understand, but that's where I counter Brent of Inhumans was on that slate. Deadpool's not even on the slate yet, you know. So I still have faith. I have hope. This cameo thing, I would have to see it done. I think that the tough thing is in the moment, I'd probably love it because I think they'll do some funny stuff. And I think that is, and here's the thing too, like I feel like if you do a cameo of Deadpool, you go two ways. You go what Fanboy Clan said, he's like a background, where's Waldo, or I want him legitimately in the movie interacting with our main character, not like how Stanley was just like, oh, off the side, little scene moved away. I'd want it like, okay, the reason you're gonna like this is because he's gonna interact with Benedict Cumberbatch, he's gonna interact with Tom Holland, he's gonna interact with Chris Hemsworth, not like a, oh, he's helping some old lady across the street in the middle of a scene. So I think you either go like fully for it or something kind of background. But I'm hoping this December we get that full on, hey, here's the date, here's director, we're moving, you know.
Yeah, so you said that's the Disney Day is in December, like
yeah, because that's when
early?
Last year. Yeah, I think it's someone mid. Because remember last year we got that like when they revealed all that Star Wars stuff and Pixar stuff, and they did that the year before too. So it seems like that's becoming their unofficial. Like the way DC fandom is happening in October, it seems like Disney Investor Day in December is that, but it's unofficially like it's becoming an event. They haven't advertised as that, but they put on a fucking show. Like, look how many Marvel shows they announced last year and Star Wars and everything. And they announced
gave us a lot of news to go over.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness.
They announced a Buzz Lightyear movie. So I think that I'm hoping December. I'm hoping sooner, but they're not doing Comic-Con, which is just an at-home one. So I'm hoping December we'll get an actual physical, you know, date. And again, I think there's just so much fun if Kevin Feige's on stage and he's making his announcements and you have Ryan Reynolds interrupt. Like, again, I think just Kevin Feige and Ryan Reynolds in general, to me, there's lots of jokes to be had there. And I think Ryan Reynolds is a smart enough guy to bring people in on the joke and laugh with them and not go for the fucking jugular. Like, it seems like that in this movie, he goes for the jugular. But if you look at all the stuff, when we're watching the movie, he takes all these shots at Hugh Jackman. I was like, oh my God. But when you really listen to them, they're nothing that like they're not they're not like, man, he's ruining relationships over this, you know.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Even his joke against Korg when he's like, I liked Dark World better, it's like we go, oh shit, but it's like that's not really that big. It's fun, but I think if Feige was there, he's not gonna fucking like tear him down, like, you know, why don't got no hair, man? Like, I don't think he's gonna like
no, exactly. Because like he's really, really funny, but he's also very smart, like and like being a good like comedian is about knowing like a time and place. And I feel like Ryan Reynolds definitely like maybe pushes it close to the line there, but he's smart enough that he wouldn't just, you know, just insult like the head honcho.
He always knows what the line is, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and
exactly.
And to me, the line is if it's somewhere else, it's like International Women's Day, where it's like that. To me, so I'm like, okay, we literally have a scene of Monica Bellucci like putting on a strap on and just going to town on them. But the thing is, that's going over the line, but it's not like offending anybody because it's like going over the line of like, oh shit, I didn't think they'd do that in the movie. It's going over like a line that we have in our mind of like a sexual, like, oh no male hero character is gonna be getting pegged in a movie or something like that. But then it happens. Those are the lines he crosses. I think the personal ones, he pretty much stays pretty on point. And like even then, like the Fox fire sale joke, it's like, yeah, he made a joke about these Fox movies. Like he's joking about Free Guy maybe being like a lesser quality movie, but at the end of the day, you kind of get it because like, oh well, no, it's because Fox was being sold and stuff. So
yeah,
he's smart. Like I said, I hope it does happen too, because I think with Disney, if they're all game kind of like this Deadpool reaction trailer, I think the marketing machine for a Deadpool 3 would be, it's gonna be something else, you know, because they've always had great marketing. So anything else on Deadpool, this trailer, these cameos, anything else?
I'm just excited to see more of it. I feel like this little Korg reaction trailer is just, whether this is like a new like mini series where he's just like doing little reviews with Korgs. I'm just excited to see more of it, and I'm an optimist, so I think it's kind of around the corner. I think we're gonna start seeing more stuff.
You get a next Deadpool trailer reaction, but it's with a different MCU character. Who do you want?
Like other than Korg?
Yeah, other than
Korg. Probably Groot. That'd be my pick. Yeah. Just because it would be like hilarious if he just keeps repeating that and he's just like, oh, I no idea what you're saying, but I totally agree. Like I could just picture like the dialogue right there. So that's my top off the top guess. Or
I love that line. Like, I didn't want Korg, but everyone else is busy on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's funny that we both went to Guardians because I went with Drax because I think like with the Dave Bautista's like deadpan humor and stuff like that, I think that would be really good because you can't give him the main guys, like you can't or like I said, or do one with a true reaction with him, like with Hugh Jackman, but Hugh Jackman the actor, like something like that. I'm trying to think of like other people that have been in the MCU that would, like I don't think they'd ever go full out and get Josh Brolin to do Thanos, but that could be kind of fun.
I was thinking about that a little bit actually, because I do think that it would just be like another CGI character or someone with like less like prosthetics. That's why like Drax, I want to see it, but like that's a lot of like hair and makeup. I guess
you gotta throw that on Dave Bautista to be like in good shape. It's like you're ready to go. Like he usually is. He's a good guy, but even he'll admit like you want to train some time, So
right, you want to look swole.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other CGI characters. But anyways, Maddie, you can join when you're on our Phase 2 Patreon. You can send us questions or topics or opinions on the topics we'll be talking about. He said, not sure how I feel about Deadpool idea. Could be fun if executed well. He said, if there was someone to be a recurring cameo character like that going forward, who would you guys nominate apart from Deadpool? That's a tough one because I tried to think of like what other legends, but like I know there's Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and stuff like that, like other people that were big. And some of these people have passed, but I mean, like even with Stan Lee, it's like I don't know if you can get anyone of his ilk to be the next like as big as Stan. As some people might think that's unfortunate, but it's just like he is like the godfather of Marvels. Like that's tough. So I tried to think of like who else would you get? I tried to think of like legacy characters that you like I would love it if it was maybe Patrick Stewart, but not as Professor X, just Patrick Stewart. But I don't know if there's like, it's funny that I'm saying I don't know if I want Deadpool to do these cameos because it's Stanley Sink, but at the same time, I don't know if there's anyone else other than Deadpool that I could think having this gimmick work, right? Because Stanley, they started early and they made fun of it, like made fun with it, but I don't know if there's any character that I could think like, I guess you could do like Howard the Duck or something like that, but it still doesn't have the same resonance. But okay, you can take Howard the Duck, maybe raise him up a little bit. That's a guy where it's like I don't need to see an MCU movie or show of him, so I'd be fine with that. But that's the only type of characters I would think. And I would think, pick someone CG because as morbid as it sounds, you wouldn't have to worry about this person passing again. But it was a tough one when Maddie asked, because I'm like, I don't know. And that's where maybe I am wrong in thinking like Deadpool does actually work pretty well in that situation.
Yeah, I think you said it well, where like I don't think anyone can quite be at the Stan Lee level. Because like even if you had Feige or someone, like he's like the main guy in this. But for one, I don't for one, I don't think he would want to do it.
No.
And then two, like even though he is like the main guy pushing this, just the fact that like Stan Lee like was that guy for like fucking years, well before both of our times, both of us. You're born 99, I'm born 96. So
89 actually. I always screw that up, but 1989.
You're born in 89. Yeah. You're born in 89.
Or sorry, no, yeah, I'm sorry, I meant 1999. 99.
That's what I said. I was.
I misheard you.
I'm
misheard
like, fuck,
you.
You're way older than I thought. Okay. So like Stan Lee just has that legacy, and I think if you choose someone, because I feel like my two would just be like either Hugh Jackman. Stan Lee or like Kevin Feige or Stan Lee. So I guess not Stan Lee. He's gone now. Kevin Feige, Deadpool, and I just don't think they're at that Stan Lee level. So I think I would prefer just no cameos. But if it's the only way to get Deadpool, I guess I go that route. But I'd still be pretty salty that I'm not getting a standalone movie or a Disney Plus series, whatever they're doing.
Disney Plus series. That I almost believe that one less. Just like, but I guess they got parentals up there, so. Well, you can join our Discord. If you want to join our Discord, hit us up because there is a link in the description, but apparently it changes 14 days. So you can just hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, and we'll let you know. But let us know on Twitter, Facebook what you thought. If you're like this idea, if you don't like this idea, any pitches you may have. Like Maddie said, is there any character you could think of that like, hey, like what? Like I'm trying to think of like even a character from a different like Jiminy Cricket or Pinocchio. Like I'm trying to think like
just like another Disney character.
Yeah, something like that. But if you guys have any suggestions, let us know. We're gonna take our first ad break and then we're gonna talk about some trailers, and we have some other Marvel news about Loki and why I'm maybe a little worried for season 2. So we'll be right back.
That's a hook right there.
That's a tease. All right, and we're back. We're not going to get to the tease yet. We're going to talk about some trailers. So, Kirklin, I'm going to leave it up to you. What would you rather talk about first? Would you rather talk about Malignant, or would you rather talk about The Last Duel? And whichever one you want to talk about, you can. The floor is yours, sir.
I will do my most positive one last. So this is a fun little ooh, what am I gonna go with? The Last Duel. Let's start with that one.
Okay.
Yeah. So this trailer, I forget who the female lead was.
Jodie Comer. She's big from Killing Eve, and she's also in Free Guy. She plays Ray's mother as well in the small flashback. But Killing Eve is apparently this great show. We're talking about shows we're behind in After 9. It's this great show with Sandra Oh that people, I think it's about hit women or something like that, or assassins, but ever since then, I think she's won a few Emmys. She's gotten a lot of praise, and she's kind of been blowing up ever since that show. I think it's coming to an end, but Jodie Comer is her name, and I haven't seen her, but people just say great things about her.
Interesting. Yeah, no, she looked really good in the trailer. I thought the trailer overall was very artsy, whether it was that cool effect when it was coming in. I think the last shot of the trailer is her, and then it makes a cross over her face. So I thought it was very artsy. I thought it looked good. It was a good looking trailer. Was very surprised about the cast, and holy shit, Matt Damon's in this. And then I think I knew Adam Driver was in it. Maybe you had mentioned it before, and then there's another one, I believe.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Yes, thank you. With the blonde little goatee.
I was gonna say that's been the biggest talk of the internet. What do you think of Affleck's look in this movie?
I was a little thrown off when I first saw him. When he talked though, I was kind of surprised. It didn't sound super English accent or something like that, but it just sounded different from his voice. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm buying this Ben Affleck cameo here, or not cameo, appearance in this movie. He's not just cameoing in this.
That's Kirklin's new Deadpool, Ben
Affleck. Yeah, get Batflick and all these. Yeah. So as a trailer, I mentioned it looked artsy. It looked just good. I thought all the set designs looked good. The costume designs looked good. But for whatever reason, I just was not that high on this trailer. I haven't talked to you about it, so I have no idea what you feel on it. But when I was watching the trailer, I was like, I'm not that interested in this for whatever. I feel like I should be just for the cast alone. But the idea of what the film is it sounds like some affair that has a lot of consequences in it. And
I don't think it's an affair.
What do you mean?
I don't think it's an affair.
You think it was sexual assault or something?
Yeah, I think that's what well, I think they're gonna play it as did he do it? But I think they've cast Adam Driver for a reason. They know he can play a villain, so I think there will be a reveal that he did do it. But I think that's what it's gonna be. That he's gonna play it all in this trailer. He just says he's innocent. So I'm assuming if people didn't watch this trailer, it's Jodie. It's what century is this taking place in?
1400s, I would say. Medieval.
So she's claiming that. So it's Matt Damon playing her husband, his I guess good friend, whatever. Adam Driver. Don't know the characters' names yet. They're war buddies and stuff like that. He's gone on a mission or whatever, some expedition. She claims that Adam Driver has sexually assaulted her. So, and it's interesting because in the trailer, it doesn't seem like she wants the duel to happen, but Matt Damon's wanting the duel to happen because she says you're just doing this for pride. But they're doing this duel where they're gonna fight, and either he's gonna kill Adam Driver or Adam Driver's gonna kill Matt Damon, and then they're gonna kill his wife for, I guess, lying. It's very strange, but I'm sure much in the 1400 didn't make sense because we have evolved since then. So that's good. Yes. We don't deal squabbles in a dueling situation. So
yeah, 100%. So yeah, and I've only seen the trailer once, and it might grow on me. It might be one of those sleeper picks where I do see the movie and I'm like, holy shit, I was really blown away on it, because I do think this is going to be a very serious film. I think it's going to be a lot more dialogue heavy as opposed to action. I feel like it'll be that route, a lot more of a drama.
They try to play with the action, but it's just that one duel, and
it's just the one ring. Yeah,
it's there's one shot too of Matt Damon in a field with a bunch of guys. So I'm sure there's some a few of them fighting over, because that's the thing. This is Ridley Scott, and that's one of the reasons why I am excited as far as he directed Gladiator. So right there, it's like, okay, huge scope of movie, like Alien, Blade Runner, The Martian. Like these are movies that can become like huge scope. So I guarantee there will be set pieces in this movie that you'll go, wow, like that looks really good. Like this guy is like and it's really exciting because later, because of COVID, this was supposed to come out last year, but it didn't. Later on this year, he also has House of Gucci coming out with Adam Driver and Lady Gaga. So he is, he has 2 bangers coming out this year. So like, and those are just a few of the top level films I named for Ridley Scott. So like, he is like a, Black Hawk Down, Prometheus. Like he's a great director. So that's why it's like, even this trailer, I agree with you that so I like the trailer, but if I didn't, I don't want to say if I didn't know, because it's tough. If it didn't have these actors and the director, I don't know if I'd be so excited. But it's like anytime Adam Driver's on screen, it's like, you're going to get something special. I've never once seen anything with him where I go, oh, he was bad. Like, he looks like he's going to be great, especially they look like they have him in like I said, probably the antagonist of this. And anytime he's an antagonist, we know he can pull it off. And it's good that he's not like a Star Wars, like world destroying antagonist. It's just like, he might have done this really bad thing, but I like the aspect, even in the trailer, they're playing off of like the whole time he's saying he's innocent. Like I said, I think it'll be revealed that he's not, but I like that it is going to be like a, who done it, sort of like who's telling the truth, sort of almost thriller in a way.
Yeah.
But I like I said, I think that or maybe they'll leave it open ended that you never get to find out the truth. Because I do like that line, even though I would not believe this at all. But Matt Damon's like, one of us is lying. God will decide who's telling the truth. That's not the way it works, because you're
maybe
fighting
in the 1400s. There you go.
Yes, but I like the sentiment of like, how back then, what would you do? She's claiming it happened, he's claiming it didn't, and like Matt Damon says, someone's lying. And it's like, and that's where I almost kind of hope the film doesn't reveal it, but at the same time, if it didn't reveal it, and if this is a movie that's supposed to be, it's based on a true story, it's about this woman, and I'm sure it's about her being strong, I don't know if you want to leave it open-ended, because that kind of like maybe hurts our protagonist as far as the female, if we never know. So I think we will get revealed that it did happen, and maybe it did. I don't know this true story. Maybe that is fact that something comes up, but I think it will get revealed, and it will get and it's called The Last Duel. So I imagine I don't know much about like this. I know it was based on true story. This film's been in production for a few years. I do not like Ben Affleck's look in this. I do not think this was the right choice. I think it takes me, he just does. He looks like when we play these type of games, like I'm going to create a character. And this is like, the whole trailer looks like that setting and looks realistic. And then it's also because, it's Ben Affleck. And I think he just stands out, but just with that haircut, it's just like the haircut, the bleach blonde, like it just, I don't know, it didn't work. And it's so interesting. Cause like years ago, like decades ago, they did so many films with Kevin Smith, and I love these films, and I was so excited that they haven't done a film, I think, since maybe Dogma together. It's like early 2000s. So when they announced they were doing a film together, I'm like, oh, I can't wait. And most of the films they did together really fun-loving and pally. And then once I heard the plot of it, I'm like, oh, that's not what I'm really wanting for a reunite. And then when I see this trailer, I'm like, yeah, this is definitely not, like, I'm happy they're in it together because they're like best friends and all, but it's like, I do hope they do something fun in the future. Like, I want to see Matt Damon, Ben Affleck in something that has to do with sexual assault. I'd love it to be like in, Good Will Hunting, where it's just like, oh yeah, he's a smart dude, he doesn't know it. So I like the trailer, but I think it's just like the talent gets me really excited,
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Because I feel like that was like the main thing drawing me in, other than like how nice it looked. It was artsy, but my favorite types of movies aren't really those ones to watch. I do.
You say that, but you like Lighthouse, you like Midsommar, Hereditary. Those are those are just artsy horror films. Those are just artsy horror films.
No, that is a good point. Okay, yeah, you got me there.
Uncut
you got me
Gems.
Live on air. I haven't seen it yet.
I know.
Yeah. So yeah, like it's probably gonna be one of those things that I'm gonna tell myself I don't want to watch it and I don't like it, and then I'll see it, and it's probably gonna be one of those movies that makes you feel like shit. Like it's probably not a happy ending at all.
It's not a feel good movie.
Yeah. So I'm probably gonna end and be like, yeah, that was a great movie, great performances and everything, but man, I feel bad after that one. Like 1400s were fucked up.
Yeah.
I think that's how I'm gonna leave the film. But overall, I thought the trailer might have shown a little bit too much. Like specifically like the fight to the death.
Yeah.
It's tough,
like we got the movie's called Last Duel, right? Though, so it's like you have to show it.
And even like certain lines, like I understand you're trying to like explain the stakes of what this female protagonist is going to be going through, but like they have the line like, oh, well, you're going to burn to death. And like, fuck, is she actually like, that might be how the movie ends. So if that's the case, I think I'll look back on it and be like, damn, I think that trailer showed a little too much. But overall, I thought the trailer was nice and artsy and just well structured. I thought some of the like scene, just like the pans of like whether we're over top of like that giant jousting arena, like a lot of those shots were just really, really, really well done in my opinion.
Yeah, well, if it should be, I imagine Ridley Scott, 3 big stars, 4 big stars with her. Like, I won't call her a big star. I think she's upright. But I mean, like, she's at least getting falling. This is when it comes to Kelowna, expect like a day one review for me because I'll be there. This is definitely also like getting that like Oscar territory season where it's like, okay, we're starting to get some stuff. Ridley Scott has a very mixed history at the Oscars where it feels like people really love his stuff or it just doesn't get nominated at all because he like Martian was a big comeback, but then after he did like Alien Covenant, which I didn't like, and I think he did a movie that gets a lot of crap now. He did a movie, what is it? Yeah, Exodus, Gods and Kings, where what was it? Joel Edgerton and Christian Bale played Egyptians, and everyone was like, "Dude, these guys are really white." Yeah,
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, Ridley Scott has this thing though, because he's just like like American Gangster's another great film. Like, even these films that aren't the greatest, it's just like he's so good at being a filmmaker. They always like look great, you know. They also it's just like something where they're always they're gonna get some sort of quality. Like here's a movie of him he did years ago I didn't like was the Robin Hood movie with Russell Crowe. Not a fan of it, but it's still like you appreciate it because you're just like, yeah, this guy knows how to make a film, like scope of it. So I'm interested. I'll be there October 15th, day one. I'm very excited for it. So I at least for sure you'll be hearing from me on it. So yeah, and Adam Driver. Everyone knows this. If you don't, he's to me the greatest actor in the world right now. I'm just dying for. I can't remember. Oh, it was an interview because Tarantino was promoting his book for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He wrote the book version, which also don't look into it because he reveals what happened to Cliff Booth and his wife. I wasn't a fan of it, so don't look into it. Like he gives the full answer of like what happened with the wife. You know,
that's like saying don't look at the sun, and then someone's like, oh, where is it?
No, I'm just saying if you ever see a tweet or an article where it's like, what happened to Cliff Booth's wife? Don't click on it. I clicked on it. It's not awful. I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I didn't need that answer because this answer wasn't as good. But
that's a good point because in my mind right now, I like that it's like, did he do it? Did he not? So so there you go. I will not click on it.
But I can't remember what he was talking about, but I feel like Tarantino did mention Adam Driver in something. And I just like the fact that Adam Driver, it might be on his radar because I think that is a game changer combo waiting to happen. If Tarantino just literally has one film left, we got to get Adam Driver in there because oh boy, like just Adam Driver with Tarantino dialogue. I can't even imagine what that's a combination of epic proportions right there. So I hope it happens. May Adam Driver, if he asks you, clear his schedule up, man. I need that. One of my favorite directors, actors. So Malignant now. You left this one because you said you like this better. So I don't know how much better you liked it, but this is James Wan. He's coming back. This comes out September 10th. This is for American people that have it. It's going to theaters and HBO Max. September 10th, it's his return to film or horror film since Conjuring 2. Obviously, like the trailer shows, he created the Saw franchise, Insidious, Conjuring. So usually when James Wan does a horror film, he ends up making a franchise that makes a whole bunch of money. So, Kirklin, do you think Malignant is going to be another film that is maybe a franchise starter for Mr. Wan and his pockets?
Yeah, I mean, if it's going to be a franchise film,
well, they never start that way. He just does them, and then they're like, "We like this." We're like, well, I guess I'm wrong, but like, he did Insidious 1 and 2. He did Conjuring 1 and 2, but then they did a third Conjuring without him. They're doing a third Insidious without him. He only did one Saw, and that got like 8 sequels. And after Saw 3, he did help write some of them, but after Saw 3, he's like, I'm done. I don't want anything to do with it. They still made like 6 more, but he gets paid for it because it was his creation, right? So every franchise other than Dead Silence, which I really liked, it was a horror puppet, like a ventriloquist puppet movie. Other than that, every time he does a horror film, usually the studio's like, yeah, we're gonna take this and we're gonna milk it, and sometimes it's good milk, sometimes it's sour.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, like, looking at the trailer, I don't think it's like, holy shit, this is gonna be a big series. But like you just said, I guess no film really starts that way.
Yeah.
But so I yeah, I really, really love this trailer. I saw the fan made trailer, I think like on Sunday or something. So there you
We were
go.
talking about that. Check out our after 9. We talked about it with Carl in April because we were debating like, is there a trailer? No, there's not. Kirkland's like, I think I saw a trailer, and Carl was like, yeah, me too. I'm like, I don't think so. And then it's so funny that this week it dropped, and Carl was like,
Great timing.
yeah, and Carl's like, is this the real trailer? I'm like, yeah, the timing's suspicious, but yeah, Carl, hope you're feeling better out there. He's a little under the weather, so.
Yes. So yeah, just the trailer. I thought it was really, really, really creepy. Just the way it started of her like sitting, I think it was like the living room thing, and just like the effects behind her. I feel like that'll be like a big signal for I forget the villain's name, but like
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
His
I feel like
call him Gabe.
I feel like when he's showing up, that's what we're gonna be seeing. It's like, holy shit, like the big bad is here. Just overall, I thought it was just such a well done trailer. I like they showed some scenes, but unlike certain trailers where I feel like I can piece them like where they would be in the film, I thought like they were put in proper places, or maybe just shown quickly of like, holy shit, that was creepy, but I'm not going to be able to like when I'm in that scene just like look for it, because I feel like it for like one, it was just maybe like dark in the scene, and two, I couldn't really get like a solid read of what was going on in the scenes. I knew I was disturbed. I like what the plot is, how it's this like what she's seeing, like she's basically like experiencing the murders from the side of like the person being murdered. Like that is terrifying.
Yeah.
So overall, I just thought it was such a good trailer, and it's got me so hyped. I had like zero hype. I had no knowledge of this before you mentioned it on our After 9, and then I'm like, okay, kind of interesting. And then I think you were reading me like the plot of like we're going by like malignant tumors or something, and I was like, I don't know what this is. It kind of reminds me of Slither in some way, maybe like something's in her body.
Well, remember we found something too. I think we decided it was a fake plot, but it was like battling with armies and a tumor or something like that. Like remember, it was like, yeah, it's definitely not that. But it because malignant is, I think we looked at something. It's like something that could be a tumor that's dormant, right? Is that what it kind of is?
I'll pull it up.
You pull it up. I'll give you the full thing. So I brought this up at After 9. I think we had talked about this a few times in other casts. I love James Wan. Ever since Saw came out, Saw is one of my main franchises. You look at just, like I said, to me, it's just such a huge achievement. I think James Wan's one of the most underrated directors. Sure, he directed Fast 7, which was already an established franchise, but that's the one where Paul Walker passed away. So that was a huge, tough like mountain he had to climb to like make that good. He made that $1 billion franchise, or that one $1 billion movie. I think it was the first one hit $1 billion. Of course, that's something to do with Paul Walker, but the movie's still shit. People aren't going to see it. He made Aquaman $1 billion. Aquaman's the biggest DC film of all time. And like I said, sure, dead silence. But you look at it, even if this film were a bomb, Saw, Insidious, Conjuring, people are lucky if they get like one film that becomes like a franchise, right? This guy has 3. He has 3 movies that went on to go like 5+ movies almost. You know, like, and look at The Conjuring. We're talking about Conjuring 1, 2, and 3, but we're not even talking about like Annabelle, The Nun, you know, all these things that have spun off The Conjuring because it was like his idea to do this movie. So it's like he's such an underrated talent. And anytime he's doing horror, because I love that we said this After 9. I love that he did Conjuring, then Fast 7. He did Conjuring 2, and then Aquaman, and now he's doing Malignant. So I like this, like he goes back and forth between, it's like Nolan used to do, where it's like, okay, he did The Prestige, then Batman Begins, and then he did Dark Knight, and then Inception. I love when directors kind of go back and forth, because I also think it's a good palate cleanser for them too, to do something smaller. And this is just, did you find out what malignant means?
Yeah, so the definition of malignant is basically like in the hands of so like malevolent, in the hands of a malignant fate, or like very what is it, in a disease sense, very like virulent. Oh my gosh, my English. Or ferocious? Infectious.
Okay, so it spreads easily.
Yeah, so like in the sense of a tumor, it's like it's a malignant tumor, meaning that it's growing uncontrollably, but like also it's just like I feel like it's
the
like
exact opposite of what I thought when I said dormant.
Yes, exactly.
I'd be in the hospital like, that's good. It's malignant. We're making progress. Like, no, Mr. Snell, you're gonna die any day now.
Yeah, it just means like death is like coming. I feel like
Well, that to me, just you seeing what malignant is, that's the perfect definition of this trailer, where it looks like she sees these deaths, but things are whatever this is, Gabriel. It's a very, to me, like boogeyman sort of feel, and that's what I like. Where he's in the shadows, he has this long hair, he has this coat. There's that one shot where he like he crawls really fast through like a hole in the ground or something.
Got chills of Hereditary there, just you describing
Exactly. Juan is good for that. My only worry with this trailer that I didn't like is Juan, for the majority of his time, likes to use practical effects. So there was a lot of CG, like walls turning into shit and stuff like that. So that's the only thing. I hope that looks good, and he doesn't really do that too much. But maybe after Aquaman, he feels like he has a better handle on that. So we'll see, because me and Taylor had that problem with Conjuring 3 where he didn't direct that, but it was still felt like at times the CG was a bit too much. So I love when he relies on practical. That was my only concern. Other than that, it hit on a lot of franchises I like I said, it's like a boogeyman, but it almost feels like Freddy Krueger, where Freddy Krueger, the whole plot is, okay, you go to sleep, he can get you. That's not what this is, but it seems like she goes to sleep and she can see another world or see something else happen in a way. So like kind of has that like playing with sleep, playing with anytime there's a villain that looks like it's just maybe in your mind, like a Freddy Krueger, that gets me, because that's that classic, like, okay, how do you beat it? A Jason, you hit with a train, you shoot him. Yeah, he's a tank, but eventually you can stop him. Villains are monsters that are like stuck in your mind. What do you do with that? You know, like that's
creepy.
Yeah, and that's where it's tough, like how you defeat that. We also have like some Ring vibes going on, like with the videotape when they watch. For me, the scariest part of the trailer was when they watched the 9-year-old birthday part, and I love that like there's score cut and she's just like, oh, my friend Gabriel and stuff like that, and then it cut to like a shot of her being like, it's the devil. And that was like, I got goosebumps right now. I was like,
yeah, same.
I was like, fuck, that was creepy. And that's where I love that. It's very much like The Ring, like watch this tape 7 days. I'm not sure. Did you ever see Sinister as well?
Yes, that was creepy with the tapes and like the
Yeah,
little kids
that's
and
what,
stuff.
in the middle, like you had the birthday part, but lots of when they were doing Saw, Insidious, all the transitions were them like winding up a tape and stuff like that. So it gave me that vibe, like, is she gonna be watching tapes from her life, even if it's just that one tape of like, it seems like this is something that has been with her possibly her whole life, right? Like even it seems like she's adopted because her mom says like, oh, there's something happened to you once we, you know, got you, that your life was always going to be a little bit different or bad or whatever it is. So it is interesting. In my theory, I'm not sure if you search Malignant poster, you'll see the one that came out today, but you can also see there's one with the full-on weapon. The weapon's really cool. He or whoever, Gabriel, was like sharpening it and everything like that in the trailer.
I like that.
But there's one, I think it's like on a blue poster, and it's an official poster, and it's really cool. But my working theory is that Gabriel's maybe going to actually be Gabrielle or something like that. I don't think it's a guy. I think it's going to be a woman. I'm not sure if it is a different like evil version of her or something, but it's just they're hiding her face, the long hair, the tie set being like to childhood and whatnot. That's my Travis told you that this will be not a man. At the end of the day, it might just be a figure, right? It might not even be like a man or woman. It might just be an evil presence. But that's my prediction, is I think it's going to be a woman. It's just a few shots that they showed it looked a lot slender, just like more of a frame of a woman, and just how they're framing the trailer. I thought, okay, maybe there's something up here as far as they're using Gabrielle, but that, you know, movies like to twist you in all the time.
No, 100%. I could totally see that happening, actually, because they put a lot of emphasis on not showing them. They have long hair, like you said. Gabriel could be like Gabrielle, right? Like it could be one of those moments. I could totally see that happening, and then maybe it's like her sister or whatever it might be.
This was the one, so it wasn't blue.
I was finding a way to pull it up on here. I'm no Taylor Field, so bear with me. But there you go. We just saw it from Travis. That is definitely a different weapon than I thought I saw in the trailer. In the trailer, I thought they were like dirty ass knives or something, but that looks like clean.
And that's what I love, like the whole character. Oh, hey, Maddie, love
the Pew Boys.
Pew Boys. But like that's what I love, like the arm and everything, the glove, it looks dirty, but then the weapon looks so pristine and neat. But like if you look at Gabriel, I'm already doing it, but Gabriel, like he looks like dirty, right? Like his hair is gross and he's like a very shadowy figure and stuff, but he looks very leathery. So and if you look at James Wan, I'm sure it's not just him alone, but stuff like Insidious that had the Darth Maul monster, or like look at Saw with Billy the Puppet. He's already made some iconic looks of horror things that have like withstood the test of time, right? Conjuring not so much because those were more ghosts and everything, but he, to me, included one of the most iconic like trailer moments was that clapping game trailer, which that was like always big for the Conjuring. So I think he has a very good sensibility of doing mainstream horror, but also putting stuff in there that sticks with you. I'll always mention this, but The Conjuring, one of the scariest shots to me in the world is, you've seen The Conjuring, right?
Yep.
When like the whole clackings happen and it's kind of in the middle of the movie, and when the girls are sleeping in the room and like someone keeps pulling their foot but they don't know, and they keep hearing like a banging coming from the cupboard, and they go to check and they open and nothing's up there, and the daughter walks back, but then in the top corner, almost like a Hereditary shot, you see the witch like on all fours on top of the cupboard, and then she's like, what? And then she looks up and it's a hard zoom on the witch, and that's when the score kicks in. And it was so scary because you just remember in the theater and just like you see the witch right up there. You're like, oh my God. And
I can hear my scream.
Yeah, he's so good at, like I said, I feel like he's great at making mainstream stuff that's palpable, not too much like a Hereditary, where I think Hereditary has a lot of stuff that people, like, you look at people, lots of people dislike that movie. It's very weird, and I think there's lots of exposition you have to take in. I think he found a way to bypass that by still creating images and moments and characters that have withstood the test of time. Whatever you want to say, but like, so even with Jigsaw and Saw, like, you want to play a game. That's one of the most iconic horror lines ever, you know, and he's great at that. So am I maybe putting too much stock on him for this and putting a lot of pressure? Yeah, but I've done that before, and he delivered The Conjuring, and I think at least it's kind of like the MCU baseline. It's going to be at least a good flick, I think, with him behind it.
Yeah, for sure. Just like, I don't know what you said about that one particular shot. I feel like it's one thing where a lot of like horror movie directors will just like bank on those like cheap jump scares, which I just hate. Yes. I hate when movies like just rely on those, because okay, like one might get me, and then it might be like, ooh, okay, that was intense. But like when they're just back to back, and like you're just expecting them, like they're not even scary anymore. It's just like lazy, in my opinion. But like for him to do that specific shot in a different way, where it ended up being not like a jump scare, because I saw it originally and then it zoomed in, but like when the score hit, just everything that like made it scary, it was different than they just turn the corner and someone's just like pops right up on the screen, right?
Hey, y'all.
Exactly, Miss Minutes, holy shit.
Yeah,
so
that's Gabriel.
So yeah, I feel like James Wan, like you said, he's an underrated director. I definitely agree with that, because I feel like a lot of these properties, I just completely forget that it's him that directed them. I'm not a Saw guy, but like even I've seen the first one, and like, you know, I don't like the traps, but like for what that movie is, of like the plot, I thought it was really interesting.
On a shoestring budget too. He made that thing for dirt cheap, and like I think they shot it in like, I can't remember the crazy number, but I think it's in like 10 days or so. Like one of those things bonkers. Where it's just like, and it's really cool too that Saw movie was based off him and Lee Whannell, who directed Invisible Man. They made just a short of Saw and everything like that, and then someone saw it made into a movie. That's why it's really cool, because he did the same thing. The guy that directed Shazam, he directed a horror movie called Lights Out, but James Wan had seen a short film that he did and said, I want you to make that into a movie. So he's going to carry that on too. And like I said, there's tons of horror directors right now that have a career or making money is because like they made movies based off his movies, you know? So it's like, he has like a quiet reputation, but he's bad in a lot. He's bad and pretty good. Like they say bad in 5,000. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like Conjuring, like that's definitely one of my favorite horror movies, and James Wan. So there you go. I'm really excited for this film. I'm excited to see if your theory comes to fruition. I definitely agree with you on that one. I think it's pretty plausible, like probably like 60+%.
And I think out of all of them where there's always some sort of mystery, I guess maybe I take the back, because Saw, literally the whole movie is a mystery, but maybe as far as these more ghost-like ones, this seems a lot of like there's going to be trying to figure out what was the cause, who is this, what was the event. You know, they're already laying in that like kind of detective, like she's trying to figure it all out sort of deal, instead of just, hey, there's a ghost in my house, how do we get rid of it? This is like, hey, what's causing all this bad stuff going on? And definitely anticipated for me. So anything else on Malignant?
Yeah, just one really quick moment that was when I think she's like looking for the tapes and like trying to see like, oh, this guy's been a part of me or my life, and then like that's when they play that tape that you shouted out. That was very creepy. We both got goosebumps just talking about it now. When they were like talking about it in the movie, I'm like, okay, we're gonna check the tapes. We're gonna see him like in the kid party or whatever. Like we've seen this so many times before. Yeah. But for some reason, whether maybe it was just because like the kid's birthday party section of the film of like the tape didn't really do it for me because I was just like, okay, I've seen this before. Whether this
Yeah.
is whatever movie, we've seen this before. But then when it did like the shot of like her in modern day, and then the screen like goes like just like snow, and then I don't know who the dude's supposed to be, and then he just like turns, or the lights turn off, turns it back on, she's gone. I was like, holy fuck, okay, this is intense. And then you get that scene. It's so funny because we were talking about Freddy Krueger. Completely reminded me of Freddy Krueger when the couch starts like moving.
Yes.
And I'm like expecting a face to just like pop out or something. So there was elements of like horror movies that I'd seen before, but there was still a lot of fresh stuff that got me really excited. And yeah, it just looks so creepy, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited. That's September is when I'll be a little busy, but I might have to try and sneak on a late night to talk about that. Either way, I'll be seeing it because good thing there's ways to find HBO Max in Canada. But we're going to take our last ad break, and then we're going to talk about some Loki because I'm excited to pick your brain on this one. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So Loki, it's crazy. If you think like in 2 hours from now, it would have been a week ago when we were watching the season finale of Loki. At the time of this recording, it's crazy that already we've had the season finale of Loki come and gone in a week. You know, right now I'd be trying to stay up, getting ready for it, and there's nothing. It's it's just gone. But either way, so 2 things happened last week where the director Kate Herron said she's not coming back for season 2. I'm going to read you a quote, but then also this is not confirmed, but the writer Michael Waldron posted like a photo on Twitter, and it's like of Loki, and he's looking at the screen from episode 1 when it's showing his life's journey, whatever, but it's the part where it says end of file. So people are taking it as like, is this like a sly way of him saying he's also not a part of it? And also like he wrote Doctor Strange, but he's also in the middle of writing a Star Wars movie for Feige, so he is busy. And I want you to read you this quote from Kate Herron. This is what I'm bringing up as far as 1, if you're like at least worried or anything, but 2, what I just thought was weird. So this came out the day after Loki. She says, "I'm not returning. I always plan for this just to what?"
Just like, I'm not returning, and then you like took a deep breath. I'm like, is that
yeah, talk to me about that quote for 20 minutes. No, I'm not returning.
Like,
no,
what's he mean by that last line?
She goes, "I always planned to be just on this, and to be honest, season 2 wasn't." And then there's a pause. That's something that just came out. I'm so excited. I'm really happy to watch it as a fan next season, but I just think I'm proud of what we did and giving it my all. I'm working on some other stuff that yet to be announced. She said she'd be happy to work with Marvel. So and I'll see if I can try and show you the screen there where it happens, but like, no, I'm going to have to send that to you. But either way, like literally they do 2 like dashes where they show when she says to be honest, season 2 wasn't in the, and that's like a pause. That's just something that came out. So for me, yeah, I found that very interesting. And there was like one scooper like that kind of put out like he had heard some stuff, and I don't know what to believe, but if there was bad blood, sometimes I don't believe those because some people just take that and they just say some of that to get clicks because it's like, well, look, I could kind of infer this. But even for myself, with no scooper saying something, I find this whole situation very odd. Now, here's the thing. At the end of the day, the MCU is Kevin Feige and his team, right? Luz Esposito. I can't remember. There's the other female producer. Oh, I can't remember. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name. But he has him and his team of producers that craft the MCU. So at the end of the day, I trust if both the writer and director are gone, that he will find someone comparable to at least make a good season, hopefully at least a good season or something serviceable. But on the surface, if they're both gone, I do worry as far as like, not worry, but it's just more of a disappointment. I guess I should not say worry, I'll say disappointment, because I loved Loki season 1. You can go back, check out our reviews. It's in my top 5, maybe top 6 MCU, depending. I'm kind of figuring that out. But either way, it's up there high. I thought they just knocked it out of the park. So to hear that they potentially, well, one for sure is not coming back, and the other one not coming back, it's really disappointing because I liked the Dragon, but I also think we talked about so many times the dialogue in the show. And it's like, well, if the writer's not coming back, hopefully we get someone as good as him, but it's like, he's the sure thing, you know? And I was talking about this with a few other people, but it's like, yeah, but it's Feige MCU. But for me, it's still the same way of like, you could have a great coach, but if you were to tell me, hey, next season, you don't have that quarterback and wide receiver, I'd be like, oh, we might find a way. And there's other great players out there, but at least I know these people have the goods, right? So for him, I'm disappointed because I love the writing. And for her, him, I get there's all these things he has going on. She says she's working on other stuff. She loved working with Marvel again. So maybe, but I found it weird that she said that like, oh, season 2 wasn't in that, and then she stopped and continued. the rumors were like season 2 was always planned, but I just wonder, like, was it always planned with a certain amount of people and she didn't know about it, which I think is kind of lame in my opinion. But at the same point, I guess if there was some sort of not even drama, but just maybe not working together well, you don't need to tell her that. You can let her go. But it's just strange. And like I said, it's the MCU. I trust them, but it is a little bit of a disappointment where I am already less excited for season 2 because of the potential loss of these two. So one, I just think it's a weird situation, especially for her, where there's being so much praise, why they wouldn't lock her down or get her for season 2. And if she's unavailable, I found she would have been like, oh, I couldn't do season 2 because I'm doing this, this, and this, but I wish them well. It was like, oh yeah, well, I only plan to be a 1 and I got other stuff in the, anytime someone's like, oh, I hope to work with Marvel again, that feels like a weird, like, why are you kind of saying that? So I might be reading too much into that. Kirklin gonna respond to that. But either way, if we don't have that writer director, I am kind of disappointed in next season. And I will be, like I said, not worried, but a little less excited for the return because I really liked the team we had for this.
Yeah, I did too. I love season 1. I thought it was phenomenal. Not my favorite MCU show. WandaVision still has that top spot, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like you, I loved the dialogue that they had, like those slow, just like non-action scenes, just dialogue scenes. That was like my favorite moments of the entire show. So
yeah,
definitely, if I'm hearing that I'm going to be losing the writer there, a part of me is like, oh man, that definitely sucks. But a part of me is also like, well, think of like WandaVision. Like the dialogue in there was phenomenal. Whether it was the moments of Vision and Wanda, like in like the Avengers compound, you got that great line, like what is grief if not love everlasting? Oh, every time I hear that,
persevering.
Okay, I'm paraphrasing, but this guy's gonna always do that to me.
The biggest line of the year,
I was so close to. I was like so confident I had it right. I'm like, watch.
That's okay. You weren't supposed to be on the actual reviewer. I said preserving, and right away the next day I got tweets and comments. It's persevering. It's persevering. It's not preserving. Okay, sorry. It's fucking it's fucking 1 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So like, part of me is like, okay, it sucks because like you mentioned, like I know what I got in season 1, that I liked it. So if I had that same team, I'm pretty sure that I would like season 2. But since we're losing that, okay, that sucks. But part of me is also like, okay, well, like everyone else that they've kind of had for like writers on these shows have been like just stellar in my opinion. So I think I'm probably going to take the optimist route on there and just like trust the process, and hopefully they have a plan for why they're changing these these people. I mean, anything, like at the end of the day, it's a business. So if there was like bad blood and they're like, okay, this is just for a healthier working environment and like better going forward for like what the property is, maybe we need to switch things up, which I understand. Sometimes you got to do those things, but definitely strange on, like you said, I felt like that one line of, I hope I work with them again. Like, I feel like that's just like a standard thing to say when they're just like cleaning their hands and like, okay, we're done with you now. And it's just like, okay, make sure you say this at all your interviews now.
And it felt so strange to me because like and obviously the finale is, not loved by anybody. I watched it with Emily and she's like, yeah, I didn't like that. And I was like, and we talked. Yeah. And I talked about it too, because I think her whole thing was like, that's how you introduce the villain. And I'm like, yeah, but like he's gonna be this guy, like. But then I was like, yeah, I do wonder how we talk about this, how like if you don't know anything about these comic books and it's like, okay, to you that's not Kang, that's just some dude, right? So it's just like, and she had other problems with it, but either way, I feel for the majority of people at least liked it, and it felt like, especially for the people that loved it, such like a home run of like of a night and an episode, and then to like for the very next day to be like, oh well, she's not coming back, and it's like, oh, and the writer might not be coming back too. It's like oh damn, like it was just deflating of like we didn't get that full like home run. And like you said, it has happened. We got other great writers, but at the same point, this is the first show to get a season 2, and if it sucks or if it's lesser than, what we're gonna point towards, right? We're gonna be like, hey, the writer director, and maybe that would cause me like, in season 3 we got to get these people back and find a way to work out. And plus bad blood could and bad blood is just like easy way to say it. That honestly, it could easily be something simple as like, I'm not trying to make him sound like a diva, but like if Tom Hiddleston didn't like the way he was being directed, he's the fucking star, and he'd be like, hey, you know what, next season I want someone else, and they would do that because they need him. That's the way it works. That's the way Tom Cruise works. Apparently that's the way what happened with Deadpool 1 to 2. It changed directors because they weren't getting along, and Ryan Reynolds kind of went to the studio, said like, hey, like, I need this change. And seeing as he's Deadpool and also a producer on the film, you go, yeah, we're going to change it for Ryan. So that's where it's like, it could just be something as little, but again, it's different because the MCU, but it's just as I'm rewatching Dexter right now, I got all these great seasons with Clyde Phillips, directing it, writing it, and then he leaves for season 4. And that's where I don't want that situation where these people leave and then we get season 2 and it's like, man, this feels like a major step down. And hopefully they would have the smarts to be like I said, let's get them back. But it is also the MCU, so you never know. They kind of move on. And who knows? Maybe Loki season 2, maybe it's just going one more season, then it's done. It might not be a everlasting thing. So
it's an interesting example you brought up with like Deadpool and how Ryan Reynolds was the star, also a producer.
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston was a producer on the show, wasn't he? Yeah. So there you go.
Executive producer. Yes.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Take that how you want.
Heard it here first. Tom Hiddleston. He classic Kate Herron. We'll get one of those bad thumbnails, like the clickbait ones. The red, like Loki, like Tom Hiddleston with the red eyes of like, Kate Herron too woke for Tom Hiddleston, demanded to be taken off season 2.
With the red eyes. Agreed.
Yeah, Tom. I'm a Loki. I'm a trickster.
Trickster. Yeah, and like a part of me is feeling like, who knows, maybe we're going somewhere completely different in season 2, and then like fresh director, fresh writer will kind of help that. Because I really love the beginning stuff of Loki season 1 of like just the TVA buddy cop type feel, like Owen Wilson, Tom Hiddleston. I liked all that stuff. I feel like not everyone did, but I certainly did. I could totally see them going to do a different route, especially when you bring in like multiverse and stuff like that. I feel like we're just going to really be shaking things up, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for season 2 to look and feel a lot different from season 1. And I feel like that's possibly like Kevin Feige or the rest of the MCU had that intention. Like, okay, this is what season 1's going to be like. Season 2, we're going to be getting into more, blank or like more of this route. And that's definitely a possibility. Obviously, we just hear it like third hand and then report on it and give our take on it. So we don't know for sure, but at the end of the day, it's just got me really interested in season 2. I mean, I was already excited for it, but I feel like now I'm just interested in to see what happens. Whether it's a complete shit show, it'll be interesting to talk about it. I'll hate it while I'm watching it, but it'll be interesting nonetheless to talk about it. Or if it's just something really fresh, and who knows, maybe they're going to get a great pairing again, and it's going to be possibly even better than season 1.
Well, and it's interesting because like you got the writer Michael Waldron, who already was writing on Doctor Strange, or depending on the order, wrote on this and went over there. Plus, he's doing Star Wars, Feige's Star Wars, so okay, he's well liked. The showrunners who did Falcon Winter Soldier, they're apparently writing Captain America 4 with Anthony Mackie, and then Jack Schaefer, who wrote WandaVision, also wrote Captain Marvel, also wrote Black Widow. So that's the other thing too, where some people point out, and I agree that it's weird that Kate Herron, who I think did I think the directing this did a phenomenal job. I think, there's some weak parts here and there, but for me, I thought she brought what was needed to the show. TV's different than movies, but still, she's kind of one of the captains of the ship, and I think she did a really great job. So it's another interesting thing that, again, I feel like it's a pretty, at least really well liked. It could be debated, but I feel the majority really like it. So it's weird that like WandaVision writer off to other things, this writer off to different things. The guys that do Captain America are doing Captain America 4 now, but it's like her, she did Loki and it's one and done. And like I said that, you said that, but I do agree with the statement of like I hope to work with Marvel again. I'd love to work with them again. That's where it just feels like, okay, I feel like there's definitely maybe some water under the bridge. It's just like, it feels much like when people have problems and then you get like, scheduling conflicts, it's like, well, you could delay this, you could figure this out, but oh no, just not gonna work, or the classic creative differences. That's the other one too, where it's just this blanket statement, so I hope honestly that some interviewer, when Loki is coming out, does take a shot and they're like, hey, why did you feel the need to switch directors? And Feige's smart, he's a spin doctor, he'll have an answer ready, but I hope that someone does ask like, hey, why, if the director and the writer are back, like, oh, why did that happen, and do you feel that these new people bring something great to the table? And he will. Oh yeah, I love those two, but still, I hope someone takes a shot and at least asks.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we did a nice little mini newscast there. Want to touch base because the next few days we got some reviews. I'm excited. Like I said, Snake Eyes I'm going to see depending on your guys' recommendation because I'm hosting Marvel Alliance with Chris, so that's why I couldn't see it on the Thursday. And I honestly, no lies whatsoever, I'd much rather see Old than Snake Eyes. So that's why I'm doing that. Old. Anytime M. Night Shyamalan has a movie coming out, I'm always excited because I feel like there's always something to talk about. You talk about a guy who's making controversial stuff. That's been his whole career. So I'm very excited for that. Snake Eyes, I'm intrigued, but that's one where I'll definitely listen to your non-spoilers review and talk to you guys and see if it's worth like a cheap Tuesday, because I think that could be fun, but I could also think it'd be like a dog shit movie where, that is not the greatest, but check out their review happening. And then
I was gonna say
great teaser.
So yeah, I was really excited for Snake Eyes. I got Shay really excited for Snake Eyes because she's a big fan of Henry Golding, attractive as a man.
Yeah, I was like, how'd you get her for that? Go, Joe.
No, and then like she works at 7 p.m. that day, so I'm like, okay, if you want, we can squeeze in that movie quick and then like today, you could probably watch it without me, and then if it depending on how you like it, maybe I'll watch it. I'm like, I thought you were more hyped on it than I was.
Yeah. Well, that's the exact situation I was, because my plan was, okay, the Thursday I was going to see Snake Eyes and then Old, so then Friday I'd be ready for both reviews. And then I completely forgot that I promised, because Brent's also not going to be Marvel Alliance. I said I'd co-host. I'm like, okay, can't leave Chris high and dry. That's my show that I was the father of with along Chris. I'm like, hey, I'm a Snake Eyes. And then I was like, I'll see Snake Eyes on the Friday. But then when I thought about it, I'm like, is Snake Eyes worth time away from my kids and Emily? And I'm like, no. Like if I was more excited for something bigger, it's like, then I'll make that call. But it's just because I like G.I. Joe, but I'm saying thing is Henry Golding, Samara Weaving's in it. Samara Weaving's what's really selling me, but it just is one of those movies like, I don't know. It's just, and I'm really curious. Like I know we're in a pandemic, but we've still had some movies that have done well. I'm really curious to see what that does box office wise, because I even think in non-COVID that would have bombed. I think it. Let me just do a quick check of what that budget has. So it's interesting. So like Black Widow, I'm not sure if you kept on that. There's been all these conflicting reports that they had like a 67% drop in the box office. They made like 27 million. And then some place put out like, oh, Disney's pulling Premier Access, not doing it anymore. They deleted the tweet. And then another person put out a tweet showing that like another 900, like almost 1 million people in the US bought it on Disney Plus. So that would be like almost like a 25 to 30 million pure profit again. So it feels like we're very much in the air of like, we hear like, oh, it did really bad here, but great here. So obviously with Shang-Chi, we'll probably find out sooner or later if they announce it's going to Premier Access. I bet that's the like, oh, okay, then it did really well. But what is... Let me just see. I'm just very curious what the budget is of this movie. I feel like it has to be like 100 million plus, right?
It feels like it, unfortunately.
Oh, they don't have a budget listed yet, so that's not good. So we'll know sooner, but I think that definitely means it's big. Like Space Jam was #1 movie in the year, but that was like $150 million budget, and that's let's see, kind of sort of worked out.
$100 million just for The Rock.
So, pardon me.
$100 million just for The Rock.
The Rock.
Jungle Cruise. Is that what we're talking about?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Space Jam again. I was like, no.
Space Jam 3.
I'm hoping. I love that director's pitch. Them wrestling, Looney Tunes wrestling with The Rock.
Yes.
And The Rock would have so much fun in that movie. You kidding me? Yeah. You know how much fun he would have? But yeah.
It makes so much sense for them to do that. Especially if this one's like I mean, what's the numbers? You said it's the #1 movie.
Yeah, it's not gonna it's gonna just break even though. It's 150 million. That's a speed. So they gotta make like 300 million to break even. I see. Well, yeah, to really break even. So, but you never know. Toys and merchandise and stuff like that. Those are some cool jerseys. And I hate that the Xbox, I would have got it. They're only doing like giveaways for the controller. Me and Emily were like, oh, we would have bought one because it's really cool. I like the jerseys. I like his LeBron shoes too. Those are cool. So it's
like a stupid Nintendo decision where they're like, let's just take this game off, even though it costs us nothing to have it here. I'm on like a email list. They have the Goon Squad like basketball. Shay and I are getting one like the second you can. So they look really cool.
Awesome. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. That is episode 402 of the books. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you to all the patrons supporting us. We really appreciate it. We've had another great month. So we promise when you hear from us next, we got a weekend full of reviews. They will not be boring.
See you later. Boom. We did it.
We did.
Just the two of us.
I'm gonna tell the world my master evil plan. Did you know? Oh, you still haven't hit end broadcast. Okay, I'm gonna do that.